The Force binds all things across the galaxy, connecting every living being in an invisible web of energy and destiny. For thousands of years, Jedi and Sith wielded this power, shaping the fate of countless worlds. But the Force had never encountered anything like what was about to tear through the fabric of reality itself. When four beings from beyond the stars crashed into a galaxy far, far away, they brought with them power that answered to no ancient order, no midichlorian count, no philosophy of light or dark. They brought something the Empire had never faced: hope wrapped in invulnerability, justice cloaked in shadows, honor forged in divine fire, and tyranny wielding the wrath of gods. The dimensional rift opened without warning across four separate sectors of Imperial space. On Lahal, a farming world slowly being strangled by the Empire's industrial grip, a streak of red and blue fire tore through the atmosphere like a falling star. Farmers in the fields looked up in wonder as the object, no, the person, crashed into the grain fields outside Capital City, carving a trench half a kilometer long before finally coming to rest. Kal-El of Krypton, the last son of a dead world, pushed himself up from the crater and looked at twin suns hanging in an alien sky. His head throbbed. His vision swam. The solar radiation felt wrong. Different. His cells, usually gorging themselves on yellow sun energy, struggled to process whatever spectrum these stars were emitting. He was still strong, far stronger than any human, but something was diminished. Muted. Where? He whispered, then heard the scream. 3 kilometers away, a family was being dragged from their home by white-armored soldiers. Stormtroopers. Though Superman didn't know that word yet. He only knew oppression when he saw it. He moved, and even at reduced capacity, he crossed the distance in seconds. On Coruscant, the galaxy's beating heart and the Empire's throne, a different kind of arrival went unnoticed by most. The bat-shaped craft that plummeted through the lower levels' perpetual smog was simply another piece of debris in a city planet that consumed and discarded technology daily. But Bruce Wayne was very much alive when his damaged ship, what remained of the Batwing after the dimensional tear, crashed into an abandoned warehouse in level 1313. He pulled himself from the wreckage, assessing damage with practiced efficiency. 3 broken ribs. Concussion. Left shoulder dislocated. The Batwing was scrap. Most of his equipment was destroyed. His suit's systems were failing, unable to interface with whatever technology existed in this place. Through the warehouse's broken windows, he saw a city that made Gotham look quaint. Towers stretching into clouds he couldn't see the top of. Speeders flowing through aerial traffic lanes in rivers of light. And everywhere, propaganda holos showing a hooded figure, Emperor Palpatine, promising order and security. Bruce had seen dictators before. He recognized the architecture of fascism instantly. A woman's scream echoed from an alley below. Old instincts overrode pain. Batman moved into the shadows, even as warning lights flashed across his cowl's failing display. He'd need to adapt. Quickly. On Mandalore, a world of warriors recently crushed under the Empire's boot, Diana of Themyscira fell from the sky like a war goddess of ancient myth. Her arrival was witnessed by a Mandalorian patrol, 3 warriors in distinctive armor who watched as the woman in star-spangled armor stood from a crater that should have killed anyone, divine or otherwise. She drew her sword instinctively, taking in her surroundings. Barren wastes. Domed cities in the distance. And 3 figures approaching with weapons drawn. Identify yourself. The lead Mandalorian demanded in a language Diana's gift of tongues translated instantly. This is Imperial-controlled territory. Diana's eyes narrowed at the word Imperial. She'd heard that tone before. Conquerors always sounded the same, no matter what language they spoke. I am Diana, Princess of Themyscira, she said, lowering her sword slightly but not sheathing it. I mean no harm to your people. But I will not be threatened on any world. The Mandalorians exchanged glances. A princess who falls from the sky and threatens Mandalorians? The leader holstered his blaster. Either you're the bravest woman in the galaxy, or the most foolish. Come! The clans will want to hear your story. And if you're lying, he patted his weapon, we'll know. Diana nodded slowly. Warriors, she understood. Warriors had honor. But the fourth arrival was different. Darker. More dangerous. In the Emperor's throne room on Coruscant, Darth Sidious felt the disturbance in the Force like a thunderclap. Something immensely powerful had entered his galaxy. No, for some things. 3 registered as anomalies, strange voids or lights in the Force that made no sense. But the fourth burned with dark power that rivaled his own. When the reports came of a being who had crashed on the industrial world of Corellia and proceeded to destroy an entire Imperial garrison with lightning that made Force lightning look like static electricity, Palpatine smiled beneath his hood. Bring him to me, he commanded. Alive. And unharmed. Taith Adam, called Black Adam, stood amid the ruins of the garrison and looked at the Imperial shuttle descending toward him. He had already determined several things about this new galaxy. First, it was ruled by fear and oppression, a language he understood intimately. Second, the Force these people spoke of was similar to but distinct from magic. Third, whoever ruled this empire understood power. When the shuttle's ramp lowered, a figure in black armor and a flowing cape descended. Darth Vader. Though Adam didn't know the name yet, he recognized a fellow enforcer of order when he saw one. The Emperor wishes to speak with you, Vader said, his voice a mechanical rasp. Black Adam crossed his arms, lightning crackling across his shoulders. Does he? And why should I care what your Emperor wishes? Because, Vader replied, igniting a crimson lightsaber. He offers you purpose in this galaxy. Or I offer you death. Choose. Adam smiled. It was not a pleasant expression. Finally, someone in this galaxy speaks plainly. The lightning bolt that erupted from his hands sent Vader crashing backward 50 meters. Adam floated into the air, his tattered cape billowing around him. Take me to your Emperor, he declared. Let us see if he is worthy of my time. Across the galaxy, in a hidden rebel cell on Lahal, Superman stood before a hologram of Senator Bail Organa. The rescued family huddled behind him, staring at the man who had stopped blaster bolts with his bare hands and lifted an AT-ST walker over his head. I don't know who you are, Organa was saying carefully, but the Empire will be looking for you now. If what you say is true, that you're not from this galaxy, then you've stumbled into a war you don't understand. Clark Kent straightened his cape, somehow intact despite everything, settling around his shoulders. Senator, I understand tyranny. And I understand that people need help. That's enough for now. On Coruscant's lower levels, Batman analyzed a stolen Imperial datapad, learning everything he could about this new galaxy. The Empire. The destroyed Jedi Order. The scattered rebellion. And somewhere in the data, a reference to unusual energy readings detected across multiple sectors. He wasn't alone here. The question was, were the others friends or threats? On Mandalore, Diana shared wine with clan leaders, learning of the Clone Wars, the Jedi's fall, and the Empire's rise. The Mandalorians spoke of warriors called Jedi who wielded laser swords and mystical powers. They spoke of the Empire's betrayal and occupation. And they watched this strange warrior woman who had appeared from nowhere, trying to determine if she was ally, threat, or something else entirely. And in the Emperor's throne room, Palpatine looked upon Black Adam with eyes that gleamed with dark satisfaction. Welcome, Taith Adam, he said, having plucked the name from the ruins of the man's mind. Welcome to an empire that understands what weaklings call tyranny is simply order. You have lived 5,000 years, seen kingdoms rise and fall, watched the weak squander freedom while begging for chains. He leaned forward. I offer you something better than the chaos you left behind. I offer you a galaxy where the strong rule, where power is not apologized for, and where gods need not hide among mortals. Black Adam's eyes narrowed. And what would you have me do, Emperor? 3 others arrived with you, Palpatine said. They will try to oppose us. They will try to fan the flames of rebellion and chaos. They will try to undo everything I have built. His smile was serpentine. I would have you stop them. I would have you show this galaxy that even gods bow before the Empire. For a long moment, Black Adam was silent. Then he nodded slowly. Very well, Emperor. Let us teach this galaxy the price of defiance. If you want to see more characters enter the Star Wars galaxy, hit that subscribe button and drop the name of a character you'd want to see in the comments below. May the Force be with you. The pieces were in place. Superman with the rebels. Batman in the shadows. Wonder Woman among warriors. And Black Adam as the Empire's dark champion. The rise of the Empire was about to face its greatest challenge, or find its ultimate weapon. The Empire's intelligence network was vast, efficient, and utterly ruthless. Within 18 hours of the 4 arrivals, Grand Moff Tarkin stood in the Imperial Security Bureau headquarters on Coruscant, reviewing reports that made even his cold pragmatism falter. For separate incidents, Agent Kallus reported, his datapad glowing with compiled intelligence. Lahal, an unknown humanoid, stopped a stormtrooper patrol with his bare hands, deflected blaster fire, and lifted an AT-ST walker. Witnesses claim he flew away. Coruscant lower levels, multiple stormtroopers found unconscious, their armor removed with surgical precision. Security footage corrupted, but thermal signatures suggest a single operative. Mandalore, the clans are harboring a woman who survived atmospheric entry without a ship. And Corellia. Kallus paused. An entire garrison destroyed. The perpetrator willingly surrendered to Lord Vader. Tarkin's expression didn't change. Theories? Unknown alien species. Possibly connected to the dimensional anomaly our researchers detected. The hyperspace weapon test on Scarif may have torn something open. Kallus pulled up sensor data. Whatever they are, they don't register properly on our equipment. Life signs are unusual. Recommendations? Capture or eliminate. All 4 are classified as extreme threats to Imperial security. On Lothal, Superman floated above the Ghost, the small freighter that housed the rebel cell that had found him. Below, Hera Syndulla, the Twi'lek pilot, kept the ship steady while her crew stared up at the man hovering outside their viewport without a ship, without a suit, seemingly without effort. That's not normal, right? Ezra Bridger asked. The young Force-sensitive had felt something strange about this newcomer, a presence that wasn't quite in the Force but couldn't be ignored either. Nothing about this is normal, Kanan Jarrus replied. The Jedi survivor watched Clark with cautious eyes. He's not Force-sensitive. I can barely feel him at all. But the power he demonstrated. Clark landed on the Ghost's hull and tapped the viewport. Hera activated the intercom. You know you can just come inside like a normal person, right? She called. Through the intercom, they heard him chuckle. Sorry. Still getting used to everything. Your sons feel different. Weaker. I'm not as strong as I should be. You lifted a walker. Zeb, the Lazat warrior, growled. How much stronger do you get? Clark's expression grew serious. Strong enough to move planets. Here? Maybe just mountains. Something about this galaxy is dampening me. Kanan and Ezra exchanged glances. The Force dampening his power? Or something else? Come inside, Hera said finally. We need to talk about what happens next. The Empire knows about you now. Across the galaxy on Coruscant, Batman crouched on a ledge 3 kilometers above the street level, watching stormtrooper patrols through a makeshift visor he'd constructed from salvaged droid components. His cowl systems were slowly coming back online, interfacing with local technology in ways that shouldn't be possible. Alfred would have called it improvisation. Bruce called it survival. The city planets sprawled endlessly in every direction. Trillions of beings. Infinite places to hide. But also infinite places for injustice to hide. He'd spent the night gathering intelligence. This empire was worse than he'd imagined, a galaxy-spanning fascist state built on fear, genocide, and absolute control. The destroyed Jedi Order. The dissolved Senate. Entire species enslaved or exterminated. And beneath it all, whispers of a rebellion. Scattered. Disorganized. Desperate. His calm crackled, an Imperial frequency he'd hacked into. Unknown hostile, lower levels, Sector 4419. All units converge. Inquisitor en route. Batman's eyes narrowed. Inquisitor. He'd heard that term in intercepted communications. Force-sensitive agents who hunted surviving Jedi. They thought he was a Jedi. Good. Fear was a tool, and if they feared what they didn't understand, he'd use that. He grappled to the next building, already planning 3 escape routes. On Mandalore, Diana sat across from Ursa Wren, leader of Clan Wren, in a war room carved from stone. Other clan leaders attended via hologram: Fen Rao of the Protectors, representatives from clans Vizsla, Kryze, and Eldar. All watched the armored woman who had arrived from nowhere. "You claim to be a warrior princess," Ursa said, her tone respectful but skeptical. "You carry a blade, armor, and equipment unlike anything in our databases. You survived atmospheric entry. And you speak of a place called Themyscira that exists nowhere in Imperial records." Diana met her gaze steadily. "Everything I've told you is true. I don't expect you to believe me. I barely believe it myself. But I know oppression when I see it. Your people wear armor in their own cities because the Empire has taken your freedom. That I understand perfectly." Fen Rao's hologram leaned forward. "And what would you do about it, outsider? The Empire crushed Mandalore. We are occupied, monitored, controlled. Even if you are what you claim, some kind of god warrior, you're one woman against an entire galaxy." "I've faced gods and monsters," Diana replied. "I've stood against armies. Not because I sought glory, but because warriors protect those who cannot protect themselves. If you tell me there is no hope, I will leave. But if you tell me there is a chance, even the smallest chance, to fight back." She placed her hand on her sword's hilt. "Then I am with you." The Mandalorians were silent for a long moment. Then Ursa smiled behind her helmet. "Spoken like a true Mando," she said. "Let us see if you fight as well as you talk." But it was the 4th arrival that reshaped the Empire's entire power structure overnight. Black Adam stood before Emperor Palpatine in the throne room, Darth Vader to one side, Imperial guards motionless in their crimson armor. Tarkin observed from a respectful distance. All of them could feel the raw power radiating from this newcomer. "You've had time to consider my offer," Palpatine said. "The question is, do you see this galaxy as I do? Order through strength. Peace through power. Security through fear." "I ruled Kondak for centuries," Adam replied, his voice like grinding stone. "I protected my people from conquerors, tyrants, and false heroes who preached weakness. I have killed thousands who threatened my nation's sovereignty. When the so-called Justice League told me my methods were too brutal, too absolute, I told them the same thing I tell you now, Emperor. I do not serve." Vader's hand moved toward his lightsaber. The Imperial guards tensed. Palpatine raised a hand, smiling. "I do not ask you to serve, Taith Adam. I offer partnership. You seek order and strength. So do I. The rebellion seeks to return this galaxy to the chaos of democracy, where the weak have equal voice with the strong, where sentiment overrides necessity." His eyes glittered. "You know what must be done to such movements. You've done it before." Adam was silent, considering. "And the others who arrived with me?" "Threats to order," Palpatine said simply. "One has already allied with rebel terrorists on Lothal. Another skulks in Coruscant's shadows like an assassin. The third stirs the Mandalorians toward rebellion. They will oppose us, Adam. They will preach hope and freedom and all the pretty lies that lead to weakness and chaos." "I know them," Adam said quietly. "Superman. Batman. Wonder Woman. We were allies. Once. Before they decided their soft morality was superior to necessary action." His fist clenched, lightning crackling between his fingers. They exiled me from Earth. Called me a tyrant. A murderer. They chose weakness over victory, mercy over justice. Then help me show this galaxy what true strength looks like, Palpatine urged. Help me crush this rebellion before it spreads. And when the three who wronged you try to interfere, he gestured broadly, show them the price of opposing order. Black Adam looked at Darth Vader, who stood silent and imposing. What of him? Your current enforcer? Lord Vader serves his purpose, Palpatine said. As will you. This galaxy is vast. There is room for multiple instruments of Imperial will. Vader's breathing was the only sound for several seconds. Then, if he interferes with my hunts, we will have problems. Adam smiled coldly. I welcome them. Palpatine laughed, a sound like glass breaking. Excellent. Then let us begin. Tarkin, assign our new ally the resources he requires. Adam, you will have access to the Imperial fleet, ground forces, and intelligence networks. Your first target, Lahel. A rebel cell harbors the alien who calls himself Superman. Bring him to me alive if possible. If not, the Emperor shrugged. Dead will suffice. And if he resists? Then demonstrate to this galaxy that even gods bleed. As Black Adam left the throne room, Vader turned to his master. He is dangerous. Unpredictable. Yes, Palpatine agreed, his smile widening. And that is precisely why he is useful. Let him hunt the others. Let them destroy each other. And when the dust settles, we will control whoever remains. He turned to the viewport, looking out over the endless cityscape of Coruscant. 4 gods have fallen into our galaxy, my old friend. By the time we're finished, they will all kneel before the Empire, or they will die. In the shadows of the throne room, either noticed a tiny surveillance device, crude, improvised from droid components, that had been magnetically attached to a wall panel. Its transmitter was weak, barely functional. But it was enough. On a rooftop 10 levels down, Batman listened through a salvaged comlink, recording every word. Now he knew. The Empire had recruited one of the most dangerous beings in the DC universe. And Superman, Wonder Woman, and he were being hunted. Time to find the others. Before Black Adam found them first. The Executor, Darth Vader's personal superstar destroyer, hung in orbit above Lahal like a dagger pointed at the planet's heart. But it was the smaller ship separating from the flagship that drew the rebellion's terrified attention, an Imperial shuttle with a single passenger who didn't need an army. Black Adam descended through Lothal's atmosphere alone, his cape billowing in the ionized air. Below, Capital City's Imperial garrison scrambled to defensive positions, unsure whether this was reinforcement or threat. Their confusion lasted exactly as long as it took Adam to land in the city's central plaza with a thunderclap that shattered windows for 3 blocks. Stormtroopers raised weapons. Adam raised a hand. I am here for the alien, he announced, his voice amplified across every Imperial comm channel. The one who fell from the sky. Surrender him to me, and your city will be spared. From the shadows of a nearby building, Canon Jarrus watched through macro binoculars, his blood running cold. That's him. That's the one Hera intercepted in the Imperial transmissions. The Emperor's new enforcer. Beside him, Superman stood in borrowed clothing, rebel fatigues that barely contained his frame. His cape was hidden, his symbol covered. But his eyes saw everything, even from this distance. Heat vision showed him the newcomer's body temperature was irregular, fluctuating with energy discharges. X-ray vision revealed nothing. Some kind of magical interference. I know him, Clark said quietly. Black Adam. Taith Adam. He's from my world. His jaw tightened. And he's one of the most dangerous beings I've ever faced. Friend or enemy? Canon asked. He thinks he's a hero, Superman replied. That's what makes him so dangerous. He believes the ends justify any means. Torture, execution, tyranny, all justified if it brings order. He turned to Cannon. Get your people out of the city. He won't stop with just me. You can't face him alone. I've fought him before. Here weakened? Clark's expression was grim. I can barely survive him. But I'm the only one who has a chance. In the plaza, Black Adam's patience expired. Lightning erupted from his hands, striking an empty AT-ST walker and turning it to molten slag in seconds. I grow tired of waiting. Superman stepped out of the shadows, floating 20 feet above the ground. Even diminished, even struggling with this galaxy's unfamiliar radiation, he made an imposing sight. The red cape snapped in the wind. The S-shield caught the twin sun's light. Adam, he called. This doesn't have to happen. Black Adam's eyes widened, then narrowed with recognition and rage. Kal-El. Of course. Still playing hero in someone else's war. He rose to meet Superman at eye level. Tell me, do these people know what you are? An alien who pretends to be their savior while holding back the power to simply end their suffering? By becoming their dictator? Clark countered. That's not salvation, Adam. That's slavery. Pretty words from someone who's never had to make hard choices. Adam's fist crackled with magical lightning. I ruled Kondak for 5,000 years. I kept my people safe through strength, not sentiment. And these people, he gestured at the plaza below, where stormtroopers and civilians alike watched in terror. They suffer under an empire that at least understands order. What would your rebellion bring them? Democracy? Freedom? He spat the words like curses. Chaos and weakness. The choice to determine their own future. Superman said. That's not weakness, Adam. That's courage. Then let me show you the price of courage. Black Adam moved first, faster than a blaster bolt, his fist connecting with Superman's jaw and sending him crashing through 3 buildings. The magical lightning that followed struck Clark like the wrath of gods, burning through his weakened resistance and drawing the first scream of pain. Clark responded with heat vision, twin beams of concentrated solar energy that would have vaporized a normal human. Adam crossed his bracelets, ancient artifacts of power, and deflected the beams into the sky. The return bolt of lightning caught Superman in the chest and drove him into the ground hard enough to crater the plaza. Stormtroopers scattered. Civilians ran. The Ghost, hidden on a rooftop 2 kilometers away, powered up engines. We have to help him, Ezra shouted. Against that? Hera gestured at the 2 figures exchanging blows that shook the city's foundations. We'd be vaporized in seconds. Cannon's hand rested on his lightsaber, feeling utterly inadequate. He'd fought Inquisitors, stormtroopers, even Vader once, briefly and barely surviving. But this was power on a scale the Force itself seemed to recoil from. Superman and Black Adam rose into the sky, trading blows that cracked the sound barrier. Each impact sent shockwaves across the city. Clark's punches, even weakened, could shatter starship hulls. Adam's lightning could level buildings. They were titans fighting in a world of paper. You're slower, Adam observed, blocking a punch and countering with an elbow that sent Superman spiraling. Weaker. This galaxy doesn't agree with you, does it? Clark wiped blood from his lip, an injury that should have been impossible. Still strong enough to stop you. Are you? Adam unleashed a sustained lightning barrage that lit up the sky. Because I feel perfectly fine. Magic transcends dimensional barriers, Kal-El. Your precious solar energy does not. The lightning drove Superman down, into the ruins of the plaza. Buildings collapsed. The ground itself cracked open. And still Adam poured power into the assault. 5,000 years of divine fury channeled through hands that had toppled kingdoms. When the lightning finally stopped, Superman lay in a crater 30 meters deep, his suit scorched, his cape tattered. He struggled to rise. Adam landed beside him, not even breathing hard. This is mercy, Kal-El. The Emperor wants you alive. So I will take you to Coruscant, and you will kneel before him, and you will see that order, true order, is worth any price. He reached down to grab Superman's arm. The fist that caught him in the face carried every ounce of strength Clark had left. Adam flew backward 100 meters, surprised more than hurt. When he stopped himself mid-air, he was smiling. There's the Kryptonian I remember. But it won't be enough. The explosion that erupted between them wasn't lightning or heat vision. It was a thermal detonator thrown with perfect precision from a nearby rooftop. Both Titans turned to see a figure in dark armor standing against the sunset, Kate billowing, more weapons already in hand. Batman had arrived. Clark. Bruce's voice crackled through a commandeered comlink. Get up. We're leaving. Batman? Adam's smile became a sneer. Of course. The detective who thinks gadgets and fear make him the equal of gods. He raised his hand, gathering power. Let me show you the difference between a man and a... The smoke grenade hit him in the face, followed by a flash bang calibrated to frequencies that even magically enhanced vision couldn't filter. Adam reeled, more from annoyance than actual harm. When his vision cleared, Superman was gone. So was Batman. In the ruins below, stormtroopers found only scorch marks and a crater. No bodies. No blood trail. Nothing. Adam floated above the devastation, his jaw tight with frustration. Clever, he admitted. But clever won't save you. He activated the Imperial calm. This is Black Adam to Executor. Target escaped with assistance. New priority, locate and eliminate the one called Batman. He operates on Coruscant. He paused. And send word to Mandalore. If Wonder Woman is there, she needs to know what's coming. 12 kilometers away, in a hidden rebel safehouse, Superman collapsed onto a medical table while Cannon and Hera worked frantically to assess his injuries. Bruce stood nearby, his cowl pulled back, assessing his old friend with the calculating gaze of someone who'd already prepared 6 contingency plans. You look terrible, Bruce said. You look ridiculous, Clark managed, wincing as Hera applied back to patches. Is that a stormtrooper chest plate duct taped to Kevlar? Improvisation. It's kept me alive for 2 days. Bruce pulled up a holographic display from a salvaged datapad. I've been monitoring Imperial communications. Adam isn't working alone anymore. He's the Emperor's enforcer. Full access to Imperial resources. And he's hunting all 3 of us. 3? Clark sat up despite Hera's protests. Who else? Wonder Woman. She's on Mandalore, apparently making friends with the locals. Bruce pulled up another file. And there's something else. The Emperor. Palpatine. He's not just a dictator, Clark. He's a Sith Lord. Immensely powerful in something called the Force. He's the one who orchestrated this entire empire. Then we find Diana. Superman said, standing despite the pain. We regroup. And we figure out how to stop both Adam and this Emperor before. Before what? Ezra interrupted. Before they destroy the rebellion? Already happening. Before they conquer the galaxy? Already done. The young Jedi's frustration was evident. You're 3 people. The Empire has millions of soldiers, thousands of ships, and now they have someone who just fought Superman to a standstill. The boy's right, Cannon said quietly. Even with your powers, this isn't a fight you can win by punching harder. Bruce looked at Clark. Clark looked at Bruce. They'd had this conversation before, on a different world, facing different threats. Then we don't fight it their way, Batman said. We do what we always do. We find the weakness. We exploit it. And we turn their strength against them. Starting with Adam. Superman added. He's powerful, but he's predictable. He thinks in terms of direct confrontation, overwhelming force. He won't expect. The building shook. Outside, the roar of Imperial Star Destroyers filled the sky as a blockade formed above Lahal. Black Adam's voice boomed across every speaker in the city. Kal-El. I know you can hear me. You have 1 rotation to surrender. If you do not... The threat hung in the air like a blade. I will reduce this city to ash. Every building. Every being. All of it gone. Because unlike you, I am willing to make the hard choices. In the safe house, Superman's fists clenched so hard the metal table beneath him crumpled. He's bluffing, Hera said, but her voice lacked conviction. He's not. Both Superman and Batman said simultaneously. Because they knew Black Adam. And they knew he never bluffed. The war room in Clan Ren's stronghold fell silent as the holographic message played for the third time. Ursa Wren, Fen Rao, and a dozen Mandalorian clan leaders watched footage transmitted by rebel spies on Lahal. Two beings of impossible power locked in battle above Capital City, one in red and blue, the other wreathed in golden lightning. Freeze that frame, Ursa commanded. The hologram paused on Black Adam's face, mid-strike, his expression twisted with righteous fury. Diana leaned forward, her knuckles white on the table's edge. Taith Adam, she whispered. Then louder. That's Black Adam. He's here. In this galaxy. You know this creature? Fen Rao demanded. He was. Diana struggled with the words. We fought alongside each other once. Against threats that would have destroyed our world. But Adam believes order matters more than freedom. That the strong should rule the weak absolutely. Her eyes never left the hologram. If he's allied with your empire, you're facing something far worse than stormtroopers and star destroyers. Can he be stopped? Ursa asked. Diana was quiet for a long moment. Superman, the one in blue, has fought him to a standstill before. But only at full power, under a yellow sun, with allies. She gestured at the frozen image of Superman being driven into the ground by lightning. Here weakened? I don't know. Then we need to extract them. A young Mandalorian, Sabine Wren, spoke up from the corner. She'd been listening intently, her artist's mind already sketching possibilities. If Superman and this Batman are fighting the Empire, they're potential allies. Or liabilities that bring Imperial wrath down on us. Rao countered. Mandalore is already occupied. We don't need to give the Empire more reasons to tighten their grip. Diana stood abruptly, her chair scraping against stone. While you debate politics, Adam is threatening to burn an entire city. Millions of lives. He will do it. She looked each leader in the eye. I know him. When he makes a threat, he keeps it. We have 1 day to reach Lahal, or those people die. 1 day? Ursa shook her head. Even pushing our ships to maximum, Lahal is 3 days from Mandalore through hyperspace. Then I'll find another way. Diana turned toward the exit. Wait. Sabine stepped forward, pulling up a star chart. There's a smuggler route, barely mapped, dangerous as hell, that cuts through the Hydian Way. Could get us there in 18 hours if the ship survives. And if the Empire detects us mid-route? Rao challenged. They won't be looking for a single Mandalorian fighter. Sabine replied. They'll be watching for fleets, convoys. One ship, running dark, using the route my father charted before the Empire killed him. Her voice hardened. I can make it. Ursa looked at her daughter, then at Diana. This is madness. This is war, Diana replied. And warriors don't abandon allies. The Mandalorians exchanged glances. Then Ursa nodded slowly. Sabine will take you. But Diana, if this fails, if you bring Imperial attention to Mandalore, then I will face it alone, Diana promised. Your people will not suffer for my choices. Spoken like a Mando, Ursa said, the highest compliment a Mandalorian could give. 30 minutes later, a modified Fawn-class fighter screamed away from Mandalore, its pilot and passenger racing against the ticking clock. On Lahal, the clock showed 16 hours remaining. Superman stood on the safe house roof, watching the Imperial blockade overhead. Star destroyers hung in orbit like white daggers, their turbolaser batteries trained on the planet below. Dozens of TIE fighters patrolled the atmosphere. The Empire had turned Lahal into a cage. You're thinking about surrendering, Batman said from the shadows. Clark didn't turn. It would save millions of lives. It would accomplish nothing. Bruce stepped into the dim light, his makeshift armor a patchwork of salvage technology. Adam wants you broken, not just captured. Palpatine wants to turn you into a weapon or a warning. Either way, those people still die. The Empire doesn't negotiate, Clark. It conquers. Then what's your plan? Because right now, all I see is a blockade I can't break and a deadline I can't stop. Bruce pulled up a holographic schematic on his salvage datapad. Imperial Star Destroyers have a weakness. Their shield generators are exposed. 6 simultaneous strikes could disable the flagship long enough for ships to escape the blockade. With what army? Clark turned to face him. The Ghost crew is 7 people with 1 ship. We're 2. Even at full power, I couldn't take down 6 Star Destroyers before they glass the city below. We don't need to destroy them. Just create a window. Bruce's eyes gleamed with that familiar calculating intensity. I've been monitoring Imperial communications. There's dissent in the ranks. The garrison commander doesn't trust Black Adam. Stormtroopers are afraid of him. Even Vader apparently objected to his recruitment. You want to turn them against each other. I want to create enough chaos that Adam has to choose between hunting us and maintaining order. He can't do both. Bruce pulled up another file. I've also identified the communication relay that controls the blockade. One strike there, the ships go dark for 90 seconds. Enough time for... An explosion rocked the building. 3 blocks away, an entire residential complex erupted in flames. Black Adam's voice echoed across the city again. 15 hours remain, Kal-El. That was Block 73. 1,432 beings live there. Past tense. A pause. I will continue destroying 1 block every hour until you surrender. Choose quickly. Superman's eyes began to glow red with barely contained heat vision. His fists clenched. The building beneath him cracked. Clark. He's killing innocent people to get to me. He's manipulating you. Bruce countered sharply. That's what tyrants do. They create impossible choices and blame you for the consequences. Don't play his game. People are dying. People are always dying in war. Bruce grabbed Clark's arm, forcing eye contact. You taught me that on Earth. Remember? When Darkseid invaded and you had to choose between saving Metropolis or stopping his tower? You can't save everyone by surrendering to evil. You save them by defeating it. For a long moment, Superman stood trembling with fury and helplessness. Then slowly, the red glow faded from his eyes. We need more time, Clark said finally. We need Diana, Bruce replied. 3 of us together, we might stand a chance. But I have no way to contact her. Imperial communications are too heavily monitored, and I don't even know where she is. Below in the safe house, Ezra Bridger sat cross-legged in meditation, his connection to the Force reaching out across the galaxy. Canon had taught him to sense disturbances, to feel the currents of life and death. But what he felt now was something else entirely. A presence. Female. Powerful. Approaching through hyperspace like a warrior goddess riding lightning. His eyes snapped open. Someone's coming. Someone bright. Strong. Not Force-sensitive, but the Force moves around her like water around a stone. Canon felt it too. Who? Diana, Superman said from the rooftop, his superhearing having caught every word. For the first time in days, hope touched his voice. Diana's coming. In hyperspace, Sabine Wren pushed her fighter to the edge of structural integrity while Diana sat in the passenger seat, her divine senses feeling the fabric of this new universe flowing past. The route was treacherous. Unmarked asteroid fields, gravity wells, spatial anomalies that made navigation nearly impossible. 10 minutes to Lahal, Sabine announced. But we're going to hit that blockade at full speed. I can dodge some fire, but against Star Destroyers. Get me close enough to see the ships. Diana interrupted. I'll handle the rest. Handle Star Destroyers? They're a kilometer long with enough firepower to level continents. Diana's hand rested on the lasso of truth coiled at her hip. I've fought Ares in the skies above man's world. I've stood against Darkseid's armies. These ships. Her eyes gleamed with Amazonian battle fury. They're just metal and men. Both can be overcome. Sabine laughed despite the tension. Okay, princess. Let's see if you fight as well as you talk. They dropped out of hyperspace directly above Lahal, immediately drawing the attention of 73 TIE fighters and 3 Star Destroyers. Unidentified vessel, power down and prepare to be boarded. The Imperial command came through. Sabine opened the canopy. Diana stood up in the passenger seat, wind screaming past at supersonic speeds, her cape billowing like a war banner. Below, she could see the planet, the blockade, and, her enhanced vision picking out details impossible for normal eyes, Superman and Batman on a rooftop, looking up. She smiled. Then she jumped. 20 TIE fighters opened fire. Blaster bolts that could punch through starship armor converged on a single falling figure. Diana's bracelets moved in a blur, deflecting energy weapons with ancient metal forged by Hephaestus himself. Bolts ricocheted in every direction, 3 striking TIE fighters and sending them spiraling out of control. She fell like a meteor, picking up speed, angling toward the nearest Star Destroyer's bridge. All guns target that, what is that? The Star Destroyer captain screamed. Diana hit the bridge viewport at terminal velocity. The reinforced transparasteel, designed to withstand meteor impacts and turbolaser fire, shattered like glass. Diana crashed through into the bridge, rolled to her feet, and drew her sword in one fluid motion. 20 Imperial officers stared at the armored woman who had just fallen from orbit and walked away. Surrender, Diana commanded, her voice carrying the authority of an Amazonian princess. Or I start cutting through this ship until it stops flying. The captain reached for his sidearm. Diana's sword removed it from his hand, literally. He stared at his empty grip, then at the severed blaster on the floor, then at the woman who moved faster than his eyes could follow. Wise choice, Diana said. Then she drove her sword through the main console, shorting out the entire ship's command systems. Alarms blared. Emergency lights activated. The Star Destroyer began listing to port, its engines cutting out. Diana walked to the shattered viewport and jumped again, this time toward the planet's surface. Behind her, the blockade scrambled to respond to an attack they couldn't comprehend. 3 TIE fighters pursued. Diana caught one by its wing mid-air, spun, and threw it into its companions. All 3 exploded. On the rooftop, Superman and Batman watched a figure in red, blue, and gold plummet from the sky and land beside them with enough force to crack the roof but not enough to hurt herself. Wonder Woman stood, brushed debris from her armor, and smiled at her old friends. Miss me? The reunion lasted exactly 3 seconds before Black Adam's voice cut across every communication channel in the city. Diana. Of course. The warrior princess who lectures gods about mercy. His laugh was bitter. Did you come to save these people? Or watch them burn with your precious ideals? Wonder Woman's expression hardened. She activated a salvaged comlink. I came to stop you, Taith Adam. As I always have. Then come find me. The transmission cut off. In the distance, another building exploded, the hourly reminder of Adam's ultimatum. 14 hours remained. He's baiting you, Batman said immediately. Wants us divided, fighting on his terms. I know. Diana turned to Superman. You look terrible, Kal-El. This galaxy's suns are wrong, Clark admitted. Different spectrum. I'm operating at maybe 70%. Against Adam at full power. You held him off long enough. Diana placed a hand on his shoulder. Now we fight together. The 3 of us have faced worse. Have we? Bruce pulled up holographic data. Adam has the full resources of a galactic empire. We have a scrappy rebel cell, stolen equipment, and powers that don't work right in this universe. Your pessimism works perfectly fine, Diana observed dryly. Despite everything, Clark smiled. For the first time since arriving in this galaxy, he felt something like hope. The Trinity, Earth's greatest heroes, reunited even here, even now. Ken and Jarrus climbed onto the roof, lightsaber in hand, Ezra close behind. I don't mean to interrupt your reunion, but the Empire just deployed another Star Destroyer. And I'm sensing something else. His face paled. Something dark. Coming this way fast. Batman's sensors confirmed it. Imperial shuttle. Single occupant. No escort. It's him, Superman said quietly. Adam doesn't need an escort. The shuttle landed in the ruined plaza where Superman and Black Adam had first clashed. Its ramp lowered. Taith Adam emerged, his cape billowing, lightning crackling across his shoulders. He surveyed the destruction around him with cold satisfaction. I gave you a choice, Kal-El, he called out, his voice carrying across kilometers. Surrender or watch innocents die. You chose their death. Remember that when you pretend to be their hero. From the rooftop, Diana's jaw tightened. He truly believes that. That's what makes him so dangerous. He thinks cruelty is honesty. Then we show him what real strength looks like, Superman said, floating into the air. Clark, wait, Batman began. But Wonder Woman was already airborne beside Superman. No more waiting, Bruce. No more planning. Sometimes warriors must simply fight. Batman watched them go, then turned to Cannon. I don't suppose this force of yours could even the odds? Against that? Cannon gestured at the three god-tier beings about to collide. The force is powerful, but what I'm sensing from them, it's beyond anything in the Jedi texts. They're not connected to the force at all. There's something else entirely. Then we use that, Bruce said, his mind already racing. If they're not connected to the Force, the Empire's Force users can't predict them. Palpatine can't see them coming. That's an advantage. An advantage for what? For ending this war before it destroys this galaxy. In the plaza, Superman and Wonder Woman landed 20 meters from Black Adam, forming a unified front. 2 against 1, Adam observed. Still afraid to face me alone, Kal-El? This isn't about fear, Adam, Clark replied. It's about showing you that your way, ruling through terror, killing to enforce order, that's not strength. It's weakness disguised as certainty. Philosophy from the alien who could rule Earth but chooses to kneel before humans. Adam's fist ignited with golden lightning. Tell me, does this galaxy know what you really are? An invader from a dead world, playing at being their savior? I know what he is, a voice called from the rubble. Ezra Bridger stepped forward, his young face set with determination that belied his years. Behind him, the Ghost crew emerged, Hera, Zeb, Sabine, and Cannon, weapons ready. Superman saved my life, Ezra continued. Saved hundreds of lives without asking for anything. Without demanding worship or obedience. That's what a real hero looks like. Adam's contempt was palpable. A child. They send children to lecture me about heroism. I've seen enough to know the difference between a protector and a tyrant. Ezra shot back. The Force shows me. The lightning bolt that lanced from Adam's hand would have vaporized the boy. Wonder Woman's bracelet caught it mid-flight, deflecting the magical energy into the sky. She stepped in front of Ezra, her eyes blazing with warrior fury. You dare attack a child? Her sword rang as she drew it. I have killed for less, Taith Adam. Then kill me, princess, Adam challenged. Or does Amazonian honor prevent you from doing what's necessary? Honor prevents me from becoming you. She moved first, crossing the distance in a blur. Her sword, forged to kill gods, swung for Adam's throat. He caught the blade with his bare hand, lightning surging through the metal to strike Diana. She gritted her teeth against the pain but didn't release her weapon. Superman hit Adam from the side, a supersonic punch that sent all three tumbling through buildings. The shockwave shattered windows across the city. They emerged from the rubble trading blows that cracked the sound barrier. Diana's centuries of combat experience guided her blade through openings in Adam's defense. Superman's heat vision forced Adam to dodge, breaking his rhythm. Together, they pressed him harder than either could alone. But Black Adam had fought gods and monsters for 5,000 years. He separated them with a lightning blast that sent Diana crashing through a power generator and Superman into the ground. Before either could recover, he was on Superman, driving magical lightning directly into the Kryptonian's weakened form. "This galaxy makes you mortal, Kal-El," Adam snarled. "Every second you stay here, you grow weaker. But magic?" He intensified the assault. "Magic is eternal. Unchanging. Absolute." Diana's lasso wrapped around Adam's throat from behind, the golden rope flaring with divine truth. "Then face the truth, Adam. You're not fighting for order. You're fighting for control. Because you're terrified of a world where you're not in charge." The lasso of truth compelled honesty, dragging words from Adam's lips against his will. "I ruled Kondak for 5 millennia. Kept it safe. Protected it from conquerors and false gods. And the Justice League destroyed everything I built because they feared my methods." His voice cracked with ancient pain. "They called me villain for doing what they wouldn't. Making the hard choices. Accepting the burden of absolute power. Power you're using to kill innocents," Diana countered, pulling tighter. "Necessary sacrifices," Adam roared, breaking free through sheer force of will, something almost no one had ever done against the lasso. "You think your rebellion can defeat this empire? Palpatine has crushed entire species. Destroyed planets. He understands what you refuse to accept. Order requires strength, and strength requires sacrifice." "Then you've already lost," Superman said, rising from the crater, battered but unbroken. "Because you've sacrificed everything that made you a hero. Everything that made you Kondak's champion." For just a moment, something flickered in Adam's eyes. Doubt. Pain. Memory of who he'd been before 5,000 years of war hardened him into a weapon. Then it was gone, replaced by cold resolve. Better a living tyrant than a dead hero. He unleashed everything. The full power of 6 Egyptian gods channeled through a body that had survived millennia. Lightning turned the sky white. The ground itself cracked open. Reality seemed to shudder under the assault. Superman and Wonder Woman braced against the onslaught, their combined strength barely holding. Buildings collapsed around them. The Imperial garrison fled in terror. Even the Star Destroyers in orbit detected the energy readings and pulled back. And then, impossibly, the lightning stopped. Black Adam floated in the air, breathing hard for the first time, his hands trembling slightly. He'd expended enormous power. More than he'd intended. "Impressive," a new voice said from the shadows. Everyone turned. Darth Vader emerged from the smoke and ruins, his crimson lightsaber ignited, his mechanical breathing the only sound in the sudden silence. Behind him, 12 stormtroopers took position, weapons trained on everyone. "The Emperor grows impatient," Vader stated. "He sent me to expedite matters." His gaze fixed on Black Adam. "Your effectiveness is in question." Adam's eyes narrowed dangerously. "Question my effectiveness when you can match my power, machine. Power without control is meaningless." Vader gestured, and the Force seized Superman, lifting him off the ground despite his strength. "The Emperor wants the Kryptonian alive. You've been playing with your prey instead of completing your mission. I don't take orders from you, Vader. Then take them from him." A hologram flickered to life, Emperor Palpatine, his hooded face twisted in displeasure. "Taith Adam. I gave you one simple task, retrieve the alien called Superman. Instead, you indulge in philosophical debates and displays of power. Perhaps I overestimated your usefulness." Adam bristled at the dismissal. "I was demonstrating Imperial strength." "You were demonstrating ego." Palpatine cut him off. "Lord Vader will assist you. Complete your mission within the hour, or I will reconsider our arrangement." The hologram vanished. For a long moment, the two dark enforcers stared at each other, magical tyrant and Sith Lord, either accustomed to sharing authority. Then they both attacked. Vader's force grip tightened on Superman, while his free hand sent debris flying at Wonder Woman. Adam launched lightning at both, creating a chaotic battlefield where allies and enemies blurred. Batman's voice crackled in Superman and Diana's stolen comlinks. East side, now. Extraction in 30 seconds. We can't just run. Superman began. You can't win this fight. Batman interrupted. 2 against 2, you're evenly matched. But reinforcements are coming. I count 3 more Star Destroyers dropping from hyperspace. You stay, you die. Move. Now. Diana grabbed Superman and flew, her divine strength overcoming Vader's force grip through sheer power. They crashed through a building's wall and found the Ghost hovering at street level, ramp down, engines screaming. They dove inside. The ship rocketed away just as Adam's lightning obliterated the building they'd been in. In the ruins, Vader and Black Adam stood among the devastation, both seething with frustration. They escaped because you failed to contain them, Vader accused. They escaped because you interfered, Adam countered. Their uneasy alliance had just become a rivalry. And the Empire had gained 2 hunters instead of 1. Aboard the Ghost, Superman collapsed against the bulkhead, his body covered in burns from magical lightning. Diana tended to his wounds while Batman analyzed the confrontation on his datapad. We can't keep running, Clark said weakly. We won't, Bruce replied. That fight gave me what I needed. What? Data. Energy signatures. Combat patterns. Weaknesses. Batman's eyes gleamed. Adam and Vader hate each other. Palpatine doesn't trust either. The Empire isn't unified. It's held together by fear. And fear. He smiled grimly. Fear is something I understand very well. The Ghost limped through hyperspace, its engines straining, holes scorched from near misses during their escape. In the common area, Superman lay unconscious on a medical cot, his body struggling to heal from magical burns that would have killed anyone else. Diana sat beside him, her own injuries already fading thanks to her divine constitution. Batman stood at the holodeck with Hera, Cannon, and Sabine, pulling up Imperial communications he'd intercepted during the battle. Listen to this, Bruce said, playing an encrypted transmission. Vader's mechanical voice filled the room. The Emperor's new pet is undisciplined. Reckless. He will compromise our operations. Palpatine's response was smooth, almost amused. Lord Vader, your jealousy is transparent. Taith Adam serves his purpose, as do you. Perhaps competition will sharpen you both. Another transmission, this one from Black Adam to the Imperial Command. I work alone. The cyborg interferes with my methods. Remove him from my operations or find another enforcer. They hate each other. Sabine observed. That's actually good for us, right? It's an opening. Batman confirmed. Palpatine is playing them against each other, keeping both off balance. But if we can widen that crack. He pulled up tactical data. The Empire's strength is centralized authority. Break the chain of command, introduce chaos at the top, and the whole structure wobbles. You want to turn them against each other, Cannon said slowly. Make them fight each other instead of us. More than that. Bruce's expression was grim. I want to make them fight themselves. Vader has stormtroopers loyal to him personally. Adam has none. He's an outsider the rank and file fear but don't respect. Imperial officers are already nervous about these god-tier beings throwing lightning around their carefully ordered military. Diana looked up from Clark's bedside. You're talking about starting a civil war. Inside the Empire. I'm talking about exploiting existing fractures, Batman corrected. The Empire was built on betrayal. Palpatine betrayed the Republic. Vader betrayed the Jedi. That poison is in their foundation. We just need to bring it to the surface. And how exactly do we do that? Hera asked. Batman smiled. It wasn't a pleasant expression. We make them think one is trying to overthrow the other. Plant evidence. Forged communications. Stage incidents that look like assassination attempts. He pulled up profiles of Imperial officers. These 3 admirals already resent taking orders from the Emperor's wizard. These 4 generals think Vader's a relic. We feed their paranoia, turn suspicion into action. That's incredibly devious, Sabine said with grudging admiration. That's war, Bruce replied. They have more ships, more soldiers, more resources. We have information, mobility, and their own internal divisions. We use what we have. There's a problem, Kanan interjected. Even if we turn Vader and Black Adam against each other, Palpatine is still in control. And from what you've told me about the Sith, he'll see through any deception eventually. Eventually isn't immediately, Batman countered. We don't need to fool him forever. Just long enough to accomplish our real objective. Which is? Diana asked. Finding out how we get home. The room fell silent. Superman stirred on the cot, his eyes fluttering open. Home, he murmured. The dimensional rift that brought us here, if we can find it, replicate it. We could go back, Diana finished. Leave this galaxy to fight its own battles. Could you? Ezra spoke up from the doorway, his young voice sharp with accusation. Just leave? When you know what the Empire does? What Black Adam will do with their resources? We're not from this galaxy, Batman said carefully. This isn't our fight. Isn't it? Ezra's eyes blazed. You stood against Adam on Earth because he was a tyrant. How is Palpatine different? You fight for justice, I've seen it. Superman saves people because it's right, not because they're from his planet. Wonder Woman protects the innocent whoever they are. But now, because it's inconvenient, because you're away from home. He shook his head. I thought heroes were supposed to be better than that. Kid, Hera began. He's right, Clark said, sitting up despite Diana's protests. Not while people are suffering. Not while Adam is helping the Empire crush freedom across an entire galaxy. Clark, we're barely surviving here, Bruce argued. You're operating at reduced capacity. I'm improvising with salvaged equipment. Diana's the only one at full power. Against an empire with millions of soldiers and 2 beings who can level cities. Then we find allies. Diana interrupted. This rebellion, they're scattered, but they're fighting. The Mandalorians resist in their own way. There are cracks in the Empire beyond just Vader and Adam's rivalry. She stood, her bearing regal despite her battered armor. On Themyscira, we have a saying, warriors fight not because they hate what is in front of them, but because they love what is behind them. These people have something worth fighting for, their freedom. We can help them win it. Or we can die trying, Batman said bluntly. Which helps no one. Bruce. Superman met his eyes. When Darkseid invaded Earth, you were the one who said we fight because someone has to. That if we don't stand against tyranny, we're complicit in it. This is the same thing. This is different, Bruce insisted. Darkseid was on our world. This is a galaxy where we happen to crash? Clark's expression was pained but determined. That doesn't make the Empire's victims less real. Less deserving of help. If we can find a way home, great. But not by abandoning people who need us. Batman was quiet for a long moment, his jaw tight. Finally. Fine. We stay. We fight. But we do it smart. No more direct confrontations with Adam until we've evened the odds. No heroic last stands against Star Destroyer fleets. We work with the rebellion, build them up, hit Imperial targets that matter, and create enough chaos that Palpatine has to pull resources away from hunting us. Agreed, Diana said. There's something else, Kanan added, stepping forward. Ezra felt it during the battle. You 3. You're not connected to the Force, but you affect it. Like stones in a stream. The Force flows around you, reacts to you. Palpatine and Vader rely on the Force to predict threats, to see the future. But you... He smiled slightly. Your blind spots. They can't see you coming. That's why Palpatine wanted Adam. Superman realized. Not just for power, but because magic operates outside the Force. Adam's attacks wouldn't be predictable to a Force user. Which means neither are yours, Sabine said excitedly. Your stealth weapons against Sith Lords. They can sense the rebellion because we're all connected to the Force on some level. But your ghosts. Batman's expression shifted from frustration to calculation. That changes things. If we can move without Palpatine sensing us, if we can strike without precognition warning them. He pulled up a star map. We need to hit Imperial infrastructure. Supply lines. Communication relays. Make them paranoid, spread thin, second-guess every shadow. Guerrilla warfare, Diana said approvingly. Fight like Amazons, swift strikes, strategic withdrawals, turn their size against them. And while we're doing that, Clark added, we look for whatever technology brought us here. Imperial research facilities, experimental weapons programs. Somewhere in this galaxy is the answer to how we got here. Hera leaned over the holotable. I can put you in contact with other rebel cells. There's a growing network, not unified yet, but communication is improving. Senator Organa coordinates from Alderaan. General Syndulla, my mother, runs operations in the Ryloth sector. If you can prove you're serious about fighting the Empire, we'll prove it, Superman said, standing despite his injuries. What's the biggest Imperial target we can hit? Biggest? Cannon pulled up data. There's a Kyber crystal shipment leaving Jeddah in 2 days. Kyber powers the Death Star, the Empire's planet-killer superweapon. Intercepting that shipment would hurt their construction timeline and deprive them of their most powerful resource. Jeddah, Batman repeated, accessing Imperial files he'd stolen. Ancient holy site. Strong Force presence. Empire stripping it for crystals. He looked up. It'll be heavily guarded. Good, Diana said, checking her sword. Warriors prefer worthy challenges. One problem, Sabine interjected. Jeddah's in the mid-rim. We hit a target that visible, that important, the Empire will send everything after us. Including Black Adam. Clark finished. He'll come. Especially after we embarrass him on Lothal. Let him come, Diana said fiercely. This time we'll be ready. This time he faces all three of us at full preparation, on ground we choose. Batman pulled up tactical scenarios. We'll need local support. Jeddah has resistance cells, Saw Gerrera's partisans. Extremists by rebel standards, but effective. Saw Gerrera? Cannon's expression darkened. He's dangerous. Ruthless. Uses tactics the rebellion won't condone. Sounds familiar. Diana observed, glancing at Batman. Bruce ignored the jab. We contact Gerrera. Coordinate the attack. Ghost Crew provides air support. Superman and Wonder Woman hit the convoy. I sabotage Imperial communications so reinforcements are delayed. We grab the crystals, deny the Empire their weapon, and prove the rebellion can strike meaningful targets. And when Adam shows up? Hera asked. We spring our trap, Batman said simply. I've been analyzing his combat patterns. He's powerful, but predictable. Relies on overwhelming force. Expects enemies to fold under pressure. We don't fold. We adapt. And we use his own power against him. How? Superman asked. Batman smiled that dangerous smile again. Kyber crystals resonate with energy. They're used in lightsabers because they channel and amplify power. Adam's lightning is pure magical energy. He let that sink in. What happens when you channel 5,000 years of accumulated divine lightning through a crystal formation designed to amplify energy weapons? Diana's eyes widened. You want to overload him. Use his own attack as a weapon. Exactly. We lure him to the crystal mines. Let him unleash everything he has. And the crystals do the rest. That's insane, Cannon said. That's brilliant, Sabine countered. That's risky, Superman added. If it backfires, if the crystals amplify his power instead of overloading him, then we fight him the old-fashioned way, Diana said, drawing her sword and checking its edge. But I like Bruce's plan better. Clark looked at his two oldest friends, the genius tactician and the warrior princess, and felt something he hadn't felt since arriving in this galaxy, genuine hope. Then we do this, he said. We hit Jeddah. We hurt the Empire. And we show Black Adam that even here, even weakened, even outnumbered. He straightened, the S-shield on his chest catching the light. We don't surrender. We don't break. We fight. The Ghost's crew exchanged glances. Then Heron nodded. I'll set course for Jeddah. ETA 36 hours. Plenty of time to prepare. Batman said, already pulling up schematics of the crystal mines. As the ship jumped to hyperspace, racing toward their next battle, none of them noticed the tiny Imperial probe droid that had attached itself to the Ghost's hull during their escape from Lahal. And none of them heard the transmission it sent, bouncing through relay stations until it reached the Executor. Darth Vader listened to the intercepted communications, his mechanical breathing steady and cold. Jeddah, he said to the empty bridge. How predictable. He turned to his communications officer. Inform the Emperor. And prepare my personal fleet. If Black Adam wishes to prove his worth, let him share the glory of crushing these insurgents. But privately, Vader had other plans. Plans that involved ensuring Adam failed. Spectacularly. The rivalries Batman hoped to exploit were already deeper than he knew. And far more dangerous. Jeddah's ancient spires pierced the clouds like prayers frozen in stone. The holy city had stood for millennia, a pilgrimage site for those who revered the Force. Now Imperial walkers prowled its streets, and massive excavators tore into the planet's crust, ripping Kyber crystals from sacred ground. The Ghost descended through the atmosphere under false Imperial transponder codes Batman had programmed. Below, the ancient city sprawled around the Temple of the Kyber, its beauty scarred by occupation. There, Kennan pointed at a massive convoy assembling in the industrial sector. 6 at haulers, 2 at ATS for escort, and at least 50 stormtroopers. That's your Kyber shipment. Superman studied the convoy through the viewport, his X-ray vision penetrating the hauler's armor. Crystals are in reinforced containers. Radiation shielding. The Kyber energy I'm seeing. He frowned. It's similar to kryptonite. Same frequency range. If I get too close. You stay back. Diana interrupted. Bruce and I will handle the ground assault. You provide air support and deal with any TIE fighters. I've identified Saw Gerrera's base, Batman said, pulling up coordinates. Underground bunker, 3 kilometers from the convoy route. We meet with him first, coordinate the attack. If he agrees to work with us, Hera cautioned. Saw doesn't play well with others. And he definitely doesn't trust outsiders. He'll trust results, Bruce replied. The Ghost landed in a canyon outside the city. The team disembarked, Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman leading, with Cannon and Ezra as liaisons. Sabine stayed with the ship, ready for quick extraction. Saw Gerrera's partisans met them with weapons drawn. Battle-hardened fighters, many with cybernetic enhancements replacing limbs lost to Imperial cruelty. Their leader emerged from the shadows. A man more machine than flesh, breathing through a respirator, his eyes burning with fanatic intensity. So, Saw's voice rasped through the mask. The rumored aliens are real. Superman. Wonder Woman. Batman. He pronounced each name like a test. The Empire's newest threats. Or its newest pawns. We're neither, Superman said calmly. We're people who oppose tyranny. Just like you. Are you? Saw limped closer, studying them. I've seen the reports. You fought Black Adam on Lahal. Destroyed half a city in the process. Hundreds dead. Thousands homeless. Very heroic. Adam destroyed that city, Diana said sharply. We tried to stop him. And failed. Just like the Jedi failed. Just like the Republic failed. Saw's bitter laugh echoed in the cavern. Everyone fails against the Empire except those willing to do what's necessary. To make the hard sacrifices. We're not here to debate philosophy, Batman interjected. We're here to hit the Kyber convoy. With or without you. But it'll be easier with your local knowledge. Saw studied Batman for a long moment. I understand. The others reek of idealism. But you... He smiled, though it wasn't pleasant. You've gotten your hands dirty. I can tell. The convoy. Bruce pressed. Saw pulled up a holographic map. Route takes them through the Kadera Flats. Open ground, good sight lines for their walkers. Terrible place for an ambush, which is why they chose it. Unless... Batman traced a path on the map. We hit them here. Ancient aqueduct runs beneath the flats. Collapsed in places, but still navigable for someone who can move heavy debris. Superman nodded. I can clear a path. We plant charges along the route. Saw continued catching on. Collapse the ground beneath the haulers, drop them into the aqueduct. Your flyers grab the crystals while the escorts are confused. And when reinforcements arrive? Cannon asked. That's when things get interesting. Batman said, pulling up sensor data. I've been monitoring Imperial communications. Vader's fleet is en route. So is Black Adam. Both want credit for stopping us. But neither trusts the other to take lead. You're planning to use their rivalry. Saw observed. Clever. Risky. I approve. He turned to his fighters. Gear up. We hit the convoy in 2 hours. One more thing. Diana said. Civilians. This city is full of pilgrims, families. We evacuate danger zones before we strike. Saw's expression hardened. Evacuations alert the Empire. Compromise operational security. Non-negotiable, Superman said quietly, but his tone left no room for argument. We don't fight like them. We don't sacrifice innocence for tactical advantage. For a moment, tension crackled between Saw's pragmatism and Superman's principles. Then Saw nodded curtly. Fine. My people know the hidden routes. We'll move civilians quietly. But if this costs us the mission... It won't, Batman assured him. Because the Empire won't see us coming. 2 hours later, Superman hovered in the aqueduct 300 meters below the surface, his hands glowing with heat vision as he cut through collapsed sections of ancient stone. Behind him, Saw's fighters placed charges with practiced efficiency. Above ground, the Kyber convoy rumbled through the Kadera Flats, seemingly unopposed. In the Ghost, Hera monitored Imperial communications. TIE fighters holding position at the city perimeter. At ATSR, wait. Her voice sharpened. Something's dropping from orbit. Fast. Trajectory indicates. Adam, Batman said from his position overlooking the convoy. Right on schedule. Black Adam descended like a meteor wreathed in lightning, landing directly in front of the lead AT-AT. The walker stopped, its pilots unsure whether this was reinforcement or threat. I am here for the aliens, Adam announced, his voice carrying across the flats. Superman. Wonder Woman. Batman. I know you're here. The cowards can't resist playing hero. From the aqueduct, Superman heard every word. He's baiting us. Let him. Batman's voice crackled through the comlink. Stick to the plan. But Diana was already moving. She burst from a hidden position, her lasso spinning, and struck before Adam could react. The golden rope wrapped around his torso, binding him for a crucial second. Coward? Diana's eyes blazed. Says the man who threatens children, who burns cities to satisfy his ego. Adam's lightning shattered the lasso's hold, only the third being ever to do so through sheer power. My ego built civilizations. Your compassion burns them down. They clashed in midair, god-level beings exchanging blows that sent shockwaves across the desert. The convoy scattered. Stormtroopers opened fire uselessly. The AT-ATs tried to target both fighters but couldn't track their speed. "No!" Batman commanded. The charges detonated simultaneously. The ground beneath 3 Kyber haulers collapsed, dropping them into the aqueduct where Superman waited. He caught the falling vehicles with super strength, lowering them gently despite the Kyber radiation weakening him. Saw's fighters swarmed the remaining convoy, their hit-and-run tactics honed by years of desperate resistance. And then the sky darkened. 3 Imperial Star Destroyers dropped from hyperspace, disgorging TIE fighters by the dozens. The lead destroyer's hangar opened, and a Lambda-class shuttle descended. Darth Vader had arrived. The Sith Lord emerged from his shuttle, surveying the chaos with cold precision. His gaze fixed on Black Adam fighting Wonder Woman above the battlefield. "Pathetic," Vader's mechanical voice carried through the Force-amplified air. "The Emperor's champion wastes time on personal grudges while the objective escapes." Adam broke away from Diana, lightning crackling dangerously. "Mind your own hunt, Cyborg. I don't answer to you." "You answer to failure," Vader replied, igniting his crimson lightsaber. "The crystals are being stolen while you indulge your vendetta. Then stop them yourself, if you're so capable." In the aqueduct, Superman loaded the last Kyber container onto a repulsor sled Saw's people had rigged. "Batman, we have the crystals. Time to go." "Not yet," Bruce replied. "The show's just getting started." Above, Vader and Adam circled each other, the convoy forgotten. Imperial troops looked between their 2 commanders, confused about who to obey. "You think you're special," Vader said, his voice dripping with contempt. "Another Forceless warrior granted power beyond his understanding. I have faced Jedi Masters, ancient Sith, beings who wielded the Force before your pitiful gods were worshipped. You are nothing new. And you're a broken man in a metal coffin," Adam shot back. "Serving an Emperor who'll discard you the moment someone more useful comes along. Like me." Vader's rage was palpable even through the mask. The Force itself seemed to darken around him. "You want to challenge me? Then challenge me. But stop pretending you serve the Empire. You serve only yourself. At least I'm honest about it." Lightning met Force-enhanced telekinesis. Adam's magical assault crashed against Vader's Force barriers. The shockwave leveled buildings. Stormtroopers fled. The convoy burned, forgotten. And in that chaos, the ghost rose from the aqueduct, Kyber crystals secured, Saw's fighters aboard. Batman watched from a rooftop as the 2 dark enforcers tore into each other with increasing savagery. And there it is. The crack becomes a chasm. "We need to leave," Cannon urged, "before they remember we exist. One more thing." Bruce pulled a device from his belt, a transmitter broadcasting on encrypted Imperial frequencies. The message he'd pre-recorded played across both Vader and Adam's communication channels, but altered to sound like it came from each about the other. Vader heard Adam's voice. "The cyborg is weak. Palpatine knows it. That's why he recruited me. To replace him." Adam heard Vader's voice. "The Emperor's pet sorcerer is unstable. A threat to Imperial order. I will eliminate him when the time is right." Both messages were fabrications, perfectly edited from earlier transmissions. But in the heat of battle, with paranoia already festering, they landed like poison. Vader's assault intensified. Adam responded with lethal intent. "Now we leave," Batman said, grappling toward the Ghost's pickup point. The ship rocketed away from Jeddah, carrying the Kyber crystals that would delay the Death Star's completion by months. Below, the Holy City burned as 2 of the Empire's greatest weapons destroyed each other's forces. Aboard the Executor, Emperor Palpatine watched the carnage through transmitted feeds. His expression was unreadable. "Shall I intervene, my master?" an aide asked nervously. "No," Palpatine said softly. "Let them fight. Let them burn with rivalry and pride. The strong will emerge stronger. The weak will be eliminated." He smiled beneath his hood. "And I will control whoever remains." But even the Emperor hadn't anticipated how deep the crack would go. or how Batman's manipulation had turned his own strategy against him. On the Ghost, as they jumped to hyperspace, the team celebrated their first real victory. "We did it," Ezra said, grinning. "We actually hurt the Empire." "We delayed their weapon," Batman corrected. "We created confusion in their command structure. And we proved we can operate effectively in this galaxy." He looked at Superman and Diana. "But this is just the beginning. Palpatine will adapt. So will we." Superman nodded, feeling stronger already as they left the Kyber radiation behind. "Then we keep fighting. Keep building the rebellion. And we find a way to stop both Adam and the Empire." Diana placed a hand on her sword. "Together. As we always have." Outside the viewport, stars streaked past. Behind them, an empire fractured. Ahead, a war that would reshape the galaxy. And somewhere in the unknown regions, in laboratories hidden from all sensors, Imperial scientists analyzed the dimensional rift data from the anomaly that had brought 4 gods to their galaxy. They were learning, experimenting, trying to weaponize the very thing that might send the heroes home. The game had only just begun. The rebellion's hidden base on Yavin 4 hummed with activity as ships arrived from across the galaxy. What had been scattered cells now coalesced into something resembling an organized resistance. The successful Jedha operation had proven that the Empire could be hurt, its invincibility challenged. In the command center, Mon Mothma, elegant, composed, the rebellion's political heart, studied holographic reports with Senator Bail Organa. When Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman entered, she rose to meet them. "The Trinity," she said, using the name Rebel Intelligence had given them. "Your actions on Jedha have resonated across the galaxy. 6 more systems have pledged covert support. Imperial supply lines are in chaos as they redirect resources to hunt you." She paused. "But you've also escalated tensions we're not prepared for. The fight between Vader and Black Adam," Bail Organa elaborated. "Imperial forces are divided. Some follow Vader's hunt for you. Others obey Adam's increasingly erratic orders. The Emperor hasn't intervened, which suggests he's allowing this conflict to play out." "That's the point," Batman said, pulling up intelligence data. "A unified empire is nearly impossible to defeat. A fractured one creates opportunities. Vader and Adam's rivalry is widening. We exploited it on Jedha. We'll exploit it again. At what cost?" Mon Mothma's gaze was sharp. "Your battle damaged Jedha's holy city. Thousands displaced. The Empire uses such destruction as propaganda, proof that rebellion brings only suffering." Diana stepped forward. "We evacuated civilians before striking. Saw Gerrera's people moved families through hidden routes. The destruction came from Adam and Vader fighting each other, not from us. The Empire won't make that distinction in their broadcasts." Bail countered. "They're already blaming you for the chaos. Calling you dimensional invaders who bring anarchy wherever you go." "Let them," Superman said quietly. "We're not here for good publicity. We're here to stop tyranny. If that means being painted as villains by Imperial propaganda, so be it." Mon Mothma studied him for a long moment. "You sound like Saw Gerrera." "Saw fights because he has no other choice," Clark replied. "We fight because we refuse to stand by while people suffer. There's a difference." "Is there?" Mon Mothma's expression was troubled. "The line between necessary action and becoming what we fight against, it's thinner than you might think. Which is why we're careful about crossing it," Diana said firmly. "We've fought tyrants who justified atrocities in the name of order. We won't become them." An aide rushed in, breathless. "Senator Mothma! Imperial transmission. Galaxy-wide. The Emperor himself." Every screen in the command center flickered to life. Emperor Palpatine's hooded face appeared, his voice smooth as poisoned silk. "Citizens of the Empire," he began. "Recent disturbances have troubled our galaxy's peace. Dimensional anomalies have brought alien entities to our reality, beings of great power but no loyalty, no understanding of our civilization. His tone became sorrowful. These invaders have allied with terrorist cells. They destroy cities, steal Imperial resources, and spread chaos under the guise of liberation. Superman's fists clenched. Batman's expression remained carefully neutral. Diana's hand moved to her sword hilt. Therefore, Palpatine continued, I offer a choice to these aliens. Surrender yourselves to Imperial custody. Submit to examination and deportation back to your dimension of origin. Or continue your terrorist activities and watch as the consequences fall upon those you claim to protect. The transmission showed footage, Imperial forces surrounding a rebel safe house on Lahal. Families huddled inside, clearly visible through broken walls. Children crying. Parents holding them close. You have 24 hours, Palpatine stated. Surrender, or this safe house and the 300 souls within will be executed. One location every day until you comply. The blood is on your hands. The transmission ended. Silence gripped the command center. It's a trap, Batman said immediately. Obvious bait. The moment we show up. 300 people die if we don't. Superman interrupted, his voice strained. 300 die anyway, Bruce countered harshly. Palpatine doesn't negotiate. Doesn't keep promises. He's using hostages to control you, to make you predictable. You go charging in, Adam and Vader will be waiting. Then we don't charge in, Diana said. We plan. We prepare. But we don't abandon those people. Mon Mothma raised a hand for silence. This is precisely the dilemma we face constantly. The Empire takes hostages because it works. Because we value life and they don't. If we always respond to their threats, we dance to their tune. If we don't. She couldn't finish the sentence. There's a third option, Batman said, his mind already working. We evacuate the hostages before the deadline. Get them out without Vader and Adam knowing. How? Bale asked. That safe house is surrounded by 3 Imperial battalions. Surveillance is total. Not total. Bruce pulled up schematics he'd already been studying. There's a sewer system running beneath that sector. Unmapped by Imperial sensors because it's considered beneath their notice. If we can access it, create a distraction above ground while extraction teams move through the sewers. A distraction big enough to draw Vader and Adam away from a fortified position? Cannon shook his head. What could possibly? Me, Superman said simply. I surrender. Publicly. Draw every Imperial eye to my location. While they're focused on that, you extract the hostages. Absolutely not, both Batman and Wonder Woman said simultaneously. It's the only play that makes sense, Clark argued. I'm the one Palpatine named first. The one Adam hates most. My surrender is what they want. They'll commit everything to securing me. That creates the opening. And then what? Diana demanded. You're captured, probably tortured, possibly killed, and we've lost our heaviest hitter? Then you break me out. Superman replied with more confidence than he felt. You're Batman. You've broken into more secure facilities than whatever holding cell they put me in. And Diana, you fought your way through Ares' fortress. An Imperial prison won't stop you. The arrogance, Diana began, is realistic. Clark interrupted gently. Even weakened, I'm still one of the strongest beings in this galaxy. They'll need specialized containment. That takes time to prepare, which gives you time to extract the hostages and plan a rescue. Meanwhile, I'll be gathering intelligence from inside their command structure. Batman's jaw worked silently. Clark was right, and he hated it. The plan was logical, tactically sound, and absolutely reckless. There are too many variables, Bruce said finally. We don't know what Palpatine has prepared for you. What if the containment is something even you can't break? What if Adam's magic can permanently weaken you? Then you'll figure out a way to rescue me anyway, Superman said with a slight smile. You always do. I really hate when you're right, Batman muttered. What about the safe house location? Hera asked, studying the tactical map. Lahal is deep in Imperial territory. Even with a distraction, extraction will be difficult. Saw Gerrera owes us for Jeddah, Diana said. His partisans specialize in exactly this kind of operation. High risk, underground, time-sensitive. Saw doesn't owe anyone anything, Bale warned. And he might see this as weakness, risking everything for hostages. Then I'll convince him, Diana said with steel in her voice. One warrior to another. Even if this works, Mon Mothma said carefully, you understand the precedent it sets? The Empire will use hostages again and again, knowing we'll respond. They'll use them regardless, Superman replied. At least this way, we save 300 lives and prove the Empire's threats aren't absolute. That resistance is possible. A long silence followed as the rebel leadership weighed the impossible calculus of war, lives against strategy, principle against pragmatism. Finally, Mon Mothma nodded. Do it. But know this, if you're captured, the rebellion cannot prioritize your rescue over our larger objectives. We will try, but we cannot risk everything for 3 individuals, no matter how powerful. Understood, all 3 said. 12 hours later, Superman stood alone in an empty field on Dantooine, broadcasting his surrender on all Imperial frequencies. Above, star destroyers converged like hungry predators. On Lahal, Wonder Woman and Saw Gerrera's strike team moved through sewers toward the hostage location, following Batman's carefully mapped route. And in the command center of the Executor, Darth Vader and Black Adam stood before a hologram of Emperor Palpatine, both demanding the right to personally retrieve the surrendering Kryptonian. You will go together, Palpatine commanded, his smile hidden but audible. Retrieve Superman alive. Bring him to Coruscant. And try not to destroy each other before completing this simple task. The 2 enforcers glared at each other with barely contained hostility. As you wish, Master, Vader said stiffly. I'll ensure he doesn't escape. Adam added, the implication clear. He didn't trust Vader to handle it alone. As both left to claim their prize, Palpatine's smile widened. Everything was proceeding exactly as he'd foreseen. The aliens thought they were clever, playing his enforcers against each other. But he'd been manipulating far more cunning opponents for decades. Let them think they were winning. Let them rescue their hostages and feel heroic. Because the trap he prepared for Superman wasn't a cage of metal or energy. It was something far more insidious. On Dantooine, as Imperial forces surrounded him, Superman took a deep breath and raised his hands in surrender. The last thing he saw before forced suppression restraints locked onto his wrists was Black Adam's triumphant smile. Hello, Kal-El, Adam said softly. Welcome to your new eternity. In the sewers beneath Lahal, Batman's voice crackled in Diana's earpiece. Hostages secured. Extraction in progress. No Imperial response yet. They're completely focused on Clark. Diana nodded, leading civilians through the darkness. Then the plan is working. But even as she said it, a cold certainty gripped her heart. They'd won the battle. But the war had just become far more dangerous. Because now the Empire had Superman. And neither she nor Batman knew if they could get him back before Palpatine broke what even Krypton's destruction couldn't. The Imperial Research Facility on Coruscant existed in official records only as Detention Level 0. A black site so classified even most high-ranking officers didn't know its location. Deep beneath the planet's surface, past layers of security that would stop armies, Superman hung suspended in a containment field that hummed with Kyber crystal energy. The red sun lamps bathing him in artificial radiation were almost unnecessary. The Kyber field alone sapped his strength, its frequency matching the kryptonite that didn't exist in this galaxy. Almost as if someone had studied him, prepared specifically for his arrival. Emperor Palpatine entered the cell, his presence making the air itself feel colder. Fascinating, the Emperor murmured, circling his captive. Your cellular structure absorbs solar radiation and converts it to power. Elegant. efficient, and so easily disrupted. He gestured at the red lamps. Simple physics. Change the input, change the output. Superman met his gaze despite the weakness flooding his body. You won't break me. Break you? Palpatine laughed. My dear alien, I don't need to break you. I need to understand you. And then, his smile was terrible. I need to replicate you. He pulled up holographic displays showing cellular analysis, energy readings, genetic mapping. Your arrival tore a hole between dimensions. My scientists have been studying the rift signature. Learning. Soon we'll be able to open such rifts at will. Reach into other realities. Extract their greatest weapons. His eyes gleamed with dark hunger. Imagine an army of Kryptonians, all loyal to the Empire. Or perhaps we'll find something even more powerful in the infinite dimensions beyond. Clark's blood ran cold. Not because of his own fate, but because of what Palpatine was describing. An empire with access to the multiverse, harvesting weapons from endless realities. You're insane, Superman said quietly. I'm ambitious, Palpatine corrected. And you, Kal-El of Krypton, are the key to unlocking infinity itself. Outside the facility, Batman and Wonder Woman studied schematics Rebel intelligence had died to obtain. The security was nightmarish, automated defenses, force-sensitive guards, energy fields that would fry anyone without proper authorization codes. It's impossible, Bail Organa said bluntly. Even if you bypass the outer security, the facility has self-destruct protocols. The moment they detect an intrusion, they'll collapse the entire structure. Superman would be buried under kilometers of planetary infrastructure. Then we don't trigger an intrusion, Batman replied, his fingers flying across a data pad. We walk in through the front door. Diana raised an eyebrow. Explain. Imperial hierarchy operates on fear and bureaucracy. Officers don't question orders from above because questioning leads to execution. Bruce pulled up forged credentials. I've created new identities for us in the Imperial database. High-level Inquisitors transferred from an Outer Rim facility to assist with the alien prisoner. The orders are coded with authentic Imperial encryption I stole from Jeddah. They'll verify. Bale warned. Let them, Bruce replied. The verification will confirm our identities because I've inserted them into the system at multiple redundant levels. By the time anyone realizes the forgery, we'll have Clark and be gone. And if they don't believe us? Diana asked. Then we fight our way out. But if we do this right, we won't need to. Saw Gerrera's voice crackled over the comm. Your hostages are safely extracted and hidden across 3 systems. The Empire is still searching Lothal sewers for them. A pause. You pulled off something I thought impossible. Maybe your way has merit after all. High praise from you, Diana observed. Don't let it go to your head, princess. You still fight with one hand tied behind your back. The transmission ended. 6 hours later, 2 figures in Inquisitor armor approached Detention Level 0's entrance. The checkpoint guards snapped to attention as Batman's forged credentials transmitted. Inquisitor Corvus and Inquisitor Mara. The guard read off his screen. Orders from Lord Vader himself to assist with prisoner interrogation. Everything checks out, but... He hesitated. We weren't notified of your arrival. Lord Vader doesn't announce his movements to checkpoint guards, Batman replied with perfect Imperial condescension. Would you like to calm him directly and explain why you're delaying his orders? The guard paled. No, sir. Proceed. They walked deeper into the facility, past automated turrets, through security checkpoints that accepted their forged biometrics. Diana's hand never strayed far from her concealed sword. Bruce's eyes tracked every camera, every guard rotation, every structural weakness. This is too easy, Diana whispered. Agreed, Bruce murmured back. Stay alert. They reached Superman's cell to find it empty except for the containment field still humming with power. The red sun lamps illuminated nothing. Trap, both said simultaneously. The doors sealed. Gas flooded the room, something toxic, designed to incapacitate. Diana held her breath, her divine constitution resisting. Batman activated filters in his helmet. Through the gas, a hologram appeared. Emperor Palpatine, smiling. "Did you truly think I wouldn't anticipate a rescue attempt?" His voice was almost amused. "The moment your Kryptonian surrendered, I knew you would come. Your predictability is disappointing." The walls shifted. Combat droids emerged, not standard Imperial models, but prototypes designed specifically for Force users. And accompanying them, 12 red-armored figures. Imperial guards. The Emperor's personal protectors. Each one a master warrior, trained to kill Jedi. "You won't leave this facility alive," Palpatine continued. "But I thank you for delivering yourselves. 2 more dimensional anomalies for my collection. The scientists will enjoy dissecting an Amazonian demigod." The hologram vanished. The guards attacked. Diana drew her sword, the blade singing as it deflected Force pikes. These weren't stormtroopers fumbling with blasters. These were elite warriors who moved with coordinated precision. One guard would feint while another struck from behind. Their weapons crackled with energy that could penetrate even her bracers. Batman dodged between combat droids, his movements economical and lethal. Batarangs found optical sensors. EMP charges disabled power cores. But for every droid he dropped, 2 more emerged from wall panels. "Bruce!" Diana called, backhanding a guard into a wall hard enough to crater the metal. "Where's Clark?" "Not here," Batman replied, rewiring a droid to attack its companions. "This whole facility might be a decoy." Palpatine's moved him somewhere else. A guard's pike caught Diana across the ribs, the energy discharge making her stumble. Another struck from behind. Her divine durability prevented serious injury, but the coordinated assault was overwhelming. Batman's utility belt was running dry. 37 distinct gadgets, most adapted from salvaged Imperial tech, and he'd used 34 already. An explosion rocked the structure. Alarms blared. The droids froze, receiving conflicting orders. The Imperial guards hesitated, their calm channels filling with panic. "What?" Diana began. Through the chaos, a familiar voice boomed across the facility's intercom. "Where is he?" "Black Adam." Batman's eyes widened. "He's not here for us. He's here for—" Another explosion closer. The ceiling collapsed, revealing Adam hovering above, wreathed in lightning, his face twisted with fury. "Palpatine!" Adam roared. "You moved the Kryptonian without informing me. You think you can sideline me like some common soldier?" Lightning lanced down, obliterating droids and guards alike. "I am Taith Adam. I do not accept disrespect." The Imperial guards abandoned Diana and Batman, rushing to defend against this new threat. Adam tore through them like paper, 5,000 years of combat experience, and divine power making short work of even the Empire's elite. Diana grabbed Batman's arm. "Now!" While they're distracted, they ran through corridors filling with smoke and debris. Adam's rampage provided perfect cover. They passed cells holding other prisoners, rebel captives, failed experiments, beings the Empire wanted disappeared. "We can't leave them," Diana said. "No time." Batman countered, but he was already releasing cell locks remotely, his fingers flying across a terminal. Automated release in 30 seconds. They'll have to find their own way out. They reached a maintenance shaft. Batman pried it open, revealing a vertical drop into darkness. "Where does this lead?" Diana asked. "Down. That's all I know. But anywhere is better than here." They jumped just as Black Adam's lightning turned the corridor behind them into molten slag. They fell through darkness, using grapple lines and divine flight to slow their descent, until they crashed into a subterranean river. Part of Coruscant's ancient water system, long forgotten beneath millennia of construction. Diana surfaced first, helping Batman to a maintenance platform. Above, the sounds of Adam's destruction echoed like thunder. We failed, she said, the words bitter. Clark's gone. We walked into Palpatine's trap. And now Adam's destroying Imperial infrastructure in a rage. We learned something, Batman replied, wringing water from his cape. Palpatine's playing everyone. Adam thinks he's a partner, but Palpatine's already maneuvering to replace him. Just like he uses Vader. That doesn't help us find Clark. No, Bruce admitted. But it confirms what I suspected. Palpatine doesn't just want to contain us. He wants to weaponize us. Turn our abilities into Imperial assets. Which means Clark's alive. Still valuable. Diana's fist struck the wall, cracking concrete. We need a new plan. We need information, Batman corrected. And I know where to get it. Where? Bruce's expression was grim. We need to talk to someone who knows Palpatine's secrets. Someone who's been inside the system for decades. Someone who might hate the Emperor even more than we do. Who? Darth Vader. Diana stared at him. You want to ally with the Sith Lord who's been hunting us? The Emperor's right hand? I want to exploit the crack we've created between him and Adam. Vader's pride is wounded. Palpatine's bringing in Adam as a replacement. That's an opening. A desperate one, but insane. Diana finished. This plan is insane. You have a better idea? She didn't. Above them, Black Adam's rage peaked. He tore through the facility's heart, searching for Superman, for answers, for recognition. And finding only Palpatine's carefully constructed manipulation. In the shadows, Darth Vader watched the security feeds, his mechanical breathing steady despite the chaos. The Emperor had played them all, Adam, the Trinity, even Vader himself. Everyone dancing to Palpatine's tune. But Vader had been studying these dimensional invaders. Analyzing their tactics, their morality, their predictability. And he'd begun to wonder, what if the Emperor's newest weapons could be turned against him? The thought was treasonous. Dangerous. Potentially fatal. But for the first time in years, Darth Vader felt something other than pain and obedience. He felt possibility. And in a cell deep within the Imperial Palace, far from any record or oversight, Superman opened his eyes to find himself face to face with Emperor Palpatine and a dozen scientists. Let's begin, Palpatine said with a smile. Tell me, Kal-El, how do you feel about needles? The rebel base on Dantooine served as neutral ground, far enough from Imperial patrols for secrecy, isolated enough to contain disaster if the meeting went wrong. Wonder Woman stood on one side of the hangar, her hand never leaving her sword. On the other, Darth Vader's Lambda shuttle rested like a sleeping predator, its boarding ramp extended. Batman emerged from the shadows between them. He's coming alone. No escort. No backup. That we can detect, Diana countered. Bruce, this is madness. Vader has killed thousands. He's Palpatine's enforcer. He's also being replaced, Bruce replied. And he knows it. Black Adam's theatrics, his power, his absolute loyalty to order. He's everything Palpatine wants in an apprentice. Vader's value is diminishing. That makes him vulnerable. Useful. The boarding ramp's shadows shifted. Darth Vader descended, his crimson lightsaber unignited but ready, his presence making the very air feel heavier. He stopped 10 meters away. Batman. Wonder Woman. You've made a bold gambit, requesting this meeting. We have a common enemy, Batman stated. Palpatine is using Black Adam to undermine you. Using us to keep Adam angry and distracted. Playing all sides against each other. The Emperor's strategies are not your concern. They are when he's experimenting on our friend, Diana said sharply. Superman is being held somewhere you don't have access to. Isn't he? Vader's silence was telling. He moved Clark without informing you, Batman pressed. Just like he mobilized Adam on Jeddah without coordinating with your fleet. You're being marginalized, Vader. Slowly. Deliberately. Palpatine's preparing to discard you. You know nothing of the Emperor's plans. I know he's opening dimensional rifts. Bruce replied. "Trying to pull weapons from other realities. Superman was just a prototype. Soon he'll have an army of beings like us, or worse. Where does that leave you? A Sith Lord powered by the Force, when the Emperor has gods at his command?" Vader's breathing filled the silence like a heartbeat. "You presume much." "I presume survival," Batman countered. "Ours and yours. Because when Palpatine succeeds in weaponizing dimensional travel, everyone becomes expendable, including his current apprentice." "And what do you propose? An alliance?" Vader's tone dripped with contempt. "I am Sith. You are insurgents. There is no common ground." "There's Superman," Diana interjected. "You want to prove you're still the Emperor's most valuable asset? Help us retrieve Clark. Show Palpatine that Adam's power is nothing compared to your strategic value." Vader turned his masked gaze to her. "And why would I return your weapon to you?" "Because keeping Superman imprisoned gives Palpatine exactly what he wants: leverage over us, research data, and proof that you couldn't prevent his capture," Batman explained. "But if you facilitate his rescue, if you demonstrate that you still control valuable intelligence the Emperor lacks, that's power. Real power. You're asking me to betray the Emperor. We're asking you to remind him why you're irreplaceable," Bruce corrected. "There's a difference." Vader was silent for a long moment, his mechanical breathing the only sound. Finally, "The Emperor has moved the Kryptonian to the Maw installation, a research facility in the Kessel sector, hidden within a cluster of black holes. Theoretical Science Division. Dimensional Mechanics." Diana's eyes widened. "You're telling us where Clark is?" "I'm telling you where the Emperor is vulnerable," Vader replied. "The Maw installation contains research into hyperspace weapons, dimensional rifts, and technologies that violate treaties with a dozen systems. If that information became public, even Imperial loyalists would question Palpatine's methods." "You want us to expose it," Batman realized. "Create a scandal that undermines the Emperor's absolute authority." "I want you to be useful," Vader corrected coldly. "The Emperor has overreached. His obsession with dimensional weapons blinds him to traditional threats, to political maneuvering, to the possibility that his apprentice might still have autonomy." "This is treason," Diana observed. "This is strategy," Vader replied. "I serve the Empire. The Emperor is not the Empire. If he falls to his own hubris..." The implication hung in the air. Batman pulled up data on the Maw installation. This facility is practically unreachable. Gravitational forces from the black holes would tear any ship apart before. "Not any ship," Vader interrupted. "The Executor's shielding can withstand the approach. And I have authorization to visit the facility. The Emperor trusts me to oversee his pet projects." His tone made that trust sound like an insult. "You're offering to take us there," Diana said slowly. "Into the heart of an Imperial research facility. Why should we trust you?" "You shouldn't," Vader stated bluntly. "But you have no other options. Your rebellion lacks the resources to assault the Maw. Black Adam doesn't know it exists. And time is running out. Every hour, the Emperor's scientists extract more data from the Kryptonian. Soon they won't need him alive." Bruce and Diana exchanged glances. The risk was enormous. Vader could be leading them into a trap. This could be Palpatine's plan all along. But Clark was running out of time. "One condition," Batman said. "You get us in. But we extract Superman ourselves. No interference. No betrayal at the critical moment." "Agreed," Vader replied. "Because watching you attempt an impossible rescue will be educational." 24 hours later, the Executor dropped from hyperspace at the edge of the Maw cluster. Ahead, black holes warped space itself, their event horizons visible as tears in reality. Between them, an impossibly delicate station floated, held in place by gravitational fields that would crush normal matter. Batman and Wonder Woman stood on the Executor's bridge, disguised as Vader's personal inquisitors. Around them, Imperial officers worked with nervous efficiency, none daring to question the Dark Lord's unusual companions. The station's defenses are minimal, Vader explained, pulling up tactical data. The Emperor believes the black holes themselves are sufficient protection. Arrogant. Typical. What about Black Adam? Diana asked. If he discovers we're here. He is currently tearing apart a suspected rebel base on Fonda. Vader replied with something that might have been satisfaction. Chasing ghosts while we handle reality. The Emperor keeps him busy with meaningless tasks. Another insult the fool hasn't recognized yet. The Executor approached the station, its shields screaming under gravitational stress. Lesser ships would have been ripped apart. Even this massive vessel groaned under the forces threatening to tear it into component atoms. They docked. Vader led them through corridors lined with scientists who quickly averted their eyes. The station was smaller than expected, quality over quantity, focusing on theoretical research that required brilliant minds more than military might. The detention level is ahead, Vader said. Security consists of automated systems keyed to my biometrics. I will disable them. You will have 7 minutes to retrieve the Kryptonian and return here. If you're delayed, the black hole's tidal forces will destroy the Executor's docking clamps. You will be trapped. Cheerful, Batman muttered. They reached the cell. Vader's hand moved across the control panel, and the door hissed open. Superman hung in a medical harness, his body pierced with dozens of tubes extracting blood, tissue samples, cellular material. Kyber crystal arrays surrounded him, keeping him weak. Red sun radiation bathed him. Monitoring equipment covered every wall. But his eyes were open. Alert. And when he saw Batman and Diana, hope flickered across his face. Told you, you'd come, Clark managed, his voice weak. Diana rushed forward, tearing away the medical apparatus with controlled fury. Batman disabled the Kyber arrays while Vader stood guard at the door. Can you walk? Bruce asked. Can barely stand, Superman admitted as Diana helped him down. They've been extracting genetic material. Trying to replicate Kryptonian physiology. He gestured weakly at the lab equipment. Destroy it. All of it. They can't be allowed to create more of me. No time, Vader said from the doorway. Alarms are triggering. The scientists know something is wrong. Then we make time, Diana stated. She drew her sword and began methodically destroying every piece of equipment, every data core, every sample container. Batman planted charges on the backup servers. 30 seconds to total data corruption. Move! They ran through corridors as alarms wailed. Scientists scattered. Security droids activated, but Vader's lightsaber cut through them like paper. Diana supported Superman, who grew stronger with each step away from the Kyber radiation. They reached the docking bay just as the Executor's captain's voice crackled through comms. Lord Vader, gravitational stress exceeds safety parameters. We must disengage now or lose the ship. Undock, Vader commanded. Full reverse thrust. The Executor pulled away from the station. Through viewports, they watched Batman's charges detonate, turning the research level into expanding fireballs. Decades of dimensional research, genetic samples, and forbidden technology, obliterated in seconds. As they cleared the Maw's gravitational field, Superman finally stood on his own, his strength returning under the distant star's radiation. You helped us, he said to Vader. Why? I serve the Empire, Vader replied. The Emperor's obsession with dimensional weapons threatens Imperial stability. You are a known variable. Manageable. An army of Kryptonians loyal only to Palpatine would be problematic. You're playing both sides, Batman observed. Using us to undermine Palpatine while maintaining plausible deniability. I'm ensuring the Empire's survival, Vader corrected. With or without its current Emperor. The implication hung in the air like a blade. This changes nothing between us, Diana stated firmly. You're still our enemy. still responsible for countless deaths. Agreed, Vader replied. But we share a common interest, preventing Palpatine from becoming more dangerous than he already is. When that interest ends, he gestured to the airlock. Your shuttle awaits. I suggest you use it before I remember I'm supposed to kill you. As they departed, Superman turned back. Vader. Thank you? Don't thank me, Kryptonian. I didn't save you. I saved the galaxy from what the Emperor would create with your DNA. His lightsaber ignited. And next time we meet, I will not be so accommodating. The shuttle detached, racing toward rebel-controlled space. Aboard the Executor, Vader stood alone on the bridge, staring at the destroyed Maw installation. He just committed treason, undermined his master's plans, aided the rebellion, and it felt right. For the first time since Mustafar, since the suit, since everything he'd lost, Darth Vader felt something other than hate and obedience. He felt choice. On the shuttle, Superman sat between his two oldest friends, exhausted but whole. Vader's planning something, Batman said quietly. Something big. We've given him a taste of rebellion. He's going to want more. Then we'll deal with it when it comes, Diana replied. For now, we have you back. The research is destroyed. The Emperor's dimensional weapon program is delayed. Maybe stopped entirely. Don't count on it, Clark said grimly. I saw the data before Diana smashed the computers. Palpatine has backup facilities. Other research. He's not going to stop trying to access the multiverse. Then neither do we, Batman stated. We keep fighting. Keep building the rebellion. And we find a way to stop both Palpatine and Black Adam before they destroy this galaxy. Superman nodded, feeling strength return with each passing moment. Together. Like always. In the Imperial Palace on Coruscant, Emperor Palpatine received the news of the Maw installation's destruction with surprising calm. Vader helped them, an aide reported nervously. All evidence points to. Yes, Palpatine waved dismissively. I expected as much. Vader's pride was always his weakness. He thinks he's being clever. Let him think it. But the research, Master, decades of work, has already been backed up to 17 different facilities. Palpatine interrupted, smiling. The Maw was simply the most visible. A sacrifice piece. And now I know with certainty that Vader's loyalty is conditional. He turned to another hologram, Black Adam, still seething from his fruitless hunt on Fonder. Taith Adam, Palpatine purred. I have a new assignment for you. One that requires your particular talents. It seems Lord Vader has been indiscreet. I need you to remind him of the price of betrayal. Adam's eyes gleamed with anticipation. Gladly. The pieces were moving. The game deepening. And somewhere in hyperspace, racing toward an uncertain future, three heroes prepared for the final confrontation that would determine the fate of an entire galaxy. The war had just entered its most dangerous phase. The rebellion had grown from scattered cells into something resembling hope. On 100 worlds, beings whispered of the Trinity. 3 warriors from beyond the stars who had challenged the Empire and survived. Superman's symbol appeared on walls in occupied cities. Batman's tactics were studied by rebel commanders. Wonder Woman's words about courage and honor spread through resistance networks like wildfire. But the cost had been terrible. Black Adam controlled 3 entire sectors now, ruling them with brutal efficiency. Palpatine had granted him the title of High Executor, a position that made even Imperial governors nervous. His methods were effective. Planets surrendered rather than face his wrath. And his hatred for Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman had become legendary, an obsession that drove him to hunt them across the galaxy. Darth Vader had become something else entirely. His quiet rebellion against Palpatine's excesses had evolved into careful resistance. He still served the Empire, still commanded the fleet, but his actions subtly undermined the Emperor's more tyrannical orders. Imperial officers whispered that the Dark Lord had changed. That something had broken his absolute loyalty. Neither Vader nor the Trinity spoke of their uneasy alliance. But when rebel cells found themselves mysteriously warned of Imperial attacks, when supply convoys reached starving worlds despite blockades, both sides understood. The enemy of my enemy wasn't a friend. But sometimes they were useful. Superman had adapted to the galaxy's different suns, learning to draw power from binary systems and stellar anomalies. He was nearly back to full strength, leading rebel assaults with the skill of a veteran commander. But the genetic samples Palpatine's scientists had taken haunted him. Somewhere, in some hidden laboratory, the Empire was still trying to weaponize Kryptonian DNA. Batman had transformed rebel intelligence operations. His network of spies, informants, and surveillance systems rivaled the Empire's own. He trained teams in infiltration, sabotage, and psychological warfare. The Empire could still win battles, but they no longer controlled information. And in war, information was everything. Wonder Woman had united the Mandalorian clans in ways not seen since the Clone Wars. Her warriors' honor resonated with their culture. She fought alongside them, bled with them, earned their respect through action rather than words. When she called for aid, warriors answered. The Empire's occupation of Mandalore became a constant guerrilla nightmare. And yet, they were no closer to going home. The dimensional rift that had brought them remained a mystery. Every Imperial research facility they raided yielded pieces of the puzzle, but never the complete picture. Palpatine's obsession with dimensional travel meant the technology was spread across dozens of black sites, each with only partial data. We might never find it, Superman admitted one night, standing with Batman and Diana on the Ghost's observation deck. The way home. We might be trapped here forever. Would that be so terrible? Diana asked quietly. This galaxy needs us. These people are fighting for the same things we fought for on Earth. Freedom. Justice. Hope. It's not our fight, Bruce said, but his tone lacked conviction. We're not from here. This isn't our responsibility. Isn't it? Clark looked at his reflection in the viewport, the S-shield worn and faded, but still visible. Still meaningful. We've made it our fight. Every world we've liberated. Every person we've saved. We've chosen this. Chosen or been chosen for. Batman countered. There's a difference. Is there? Diana smiled slightly. On Themyscira, we believe the fates guide warriors to where they're needed most. Perhaps the dimensional rift wasn't an accident. Perhaps we were meant to be here. I don't believe in fate, Bruce muttered. You don't believe in much, Diana replied. But you're still here. Still fighting. Still trying to save people you don't even know. That's not obligation, Bruce. That's choice. He didn't argue. Because she was right. Across the galaxy, in the Imperial Palace, Emperor Palpatine stood before a new dimensional rift generator, smaller than the original, more controlled, but functional. His scientists had finally succeeded. Show me, he commanded. The device activated. Reality tore open, revealing glimpses of other universes. Worlds of magic. Worlds of advanced technology. Worlds with beings of unimaginable power. Palpatine smiled beneath his hood. Perfect. Begin preparations. We'll start with controlled extractions. Single entities. Test subjects. What about the dimensional invaders currently in our galaxy? Nate asked. Let them play rebellion. Palpatine replied dismissively. They've already given me what I needed, proof the technology works. When I have an army from 1,000 dimensions, their resistance will be quaint. Nostalgic even. But he underestimated them. As he always had. Because the Trinity wasn't just 3 powerful beings. They were symbols. Proof that even the Empire's might could be challenged. That tyranny could be opposed. And symbols had power Palpatine's science couldn't measure. The final battle was coming. Palpatine's dimensional weapon neared completion. Black Adam's obsession grew more dangerous daily. Vader's quiet rebellion moved toward open confrontation. And the rebellion, strengthened by 3 warriors from another reality, prepared for the fight that would determine the galaxy's future. Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman didn't know if they'd ever see Earth again. Didn't know if they'd survive what was coming. But they knew one truth with absolute certainty. They would fight. Not because this was their galaxy. Not because they'd been chosen. But because when beings suffered under tyranny, when freedom burned under oppression's boot, heroes didn't ask where they were from. They asked what they could do to help. And they did it. The Force flowed through the galaxy, binding all things. But weaving through it now, invisible to Jedi and Sith alike, was something new. Hope from beyond the stars. Power that answered to no ancient order. Warriors who proved that even in a galaxy far, far away, justice could find a way. The story was far from over. But for now, the Trinity stood ready. Together. As they always had. As they always would. May the Force be with you. Hit that subscribe button for more interesting stories. Thank you for watching.